Hello and welcome to the ORCA Pod. The three of us are here. We're the apex predators of LRG podcasting in Australia, and we are here to bring all the spice. We give nothing nice. We like to tear the plankton to shreds with our apex predator orca style. Annabel, Max, how are you? Welcome to the episode.
CK, lovely to be here. I think I might be the sardine in this situation, and you two can be the orcas. I feel like we've established this. The orca pod and the sardine.
Maybe you're a jellyfish.
We've got the true puffy fluffykins, the true apex predator here. Everyone bows in fear in front of the orca hunter, Sir Puffs.
So we got another orca confessional this episode, so that was exciting. He's doubled down. It's like he knew we would be going on about this nonstop.
Yes.
That we've because I intend to call this podcast the Orca Pod, going beyond this season, going beyond Canberra Survivor, other amateur survivors. It needed a name. It has it now, and it's going to stick. The Orca Pod.
I actually wrote down his quote because it was just hilarious.
Well, what was his quote?
It was in his confessional. There was two awesome quotes by James. It was, "I came out with the goods, baby. Yeah." I didn't have that much emphasis. Could have been a bit better. Anyway, and then Orca is officially head of the pod again. That's what he said. Just before everyone wanted to vote him out. And as we saw, he came clutch. But we'll discuss that later on. I'm sure we will.
What I'm really glad about this episode, besides that John got booted, is and yeah, it's good to see, is that I love the amount of advantages that were just flushed out of this. Look, I'll be fair, there were too many. Look, I'm a Survivor fan who doesn't hate advantages. I think they spice up the game. I like how you have to build strategy around them. And I like that everyone knew what advantages are in the game. That's a key tenet of actually having them, people knowing what they have to play around. But there were just way too many. It was absurd. And they're all gone.
When they went in to Tribal, the only people who weren't carrying advantages were Joe, John, and Nick. Oh, wait, plot twist. No, surprise. Nick also has one. Joe and John were the only people there not holding advantages.
And
unreal.
Yes, that could save them. Yeah, Ma had an advantage that wouldn't necessarily save her, but she was holding an advantage. And
so we saw. So what? This is a shock. Usually when I speak, I have to stop straight away, but you two stopping like that. Wow, something must have changed.
It's the whiteness of your teeth.
I know
they're almost as
really
white as your
good
earbuds.
today.
It's insane.
I know. It just must be. The Max's hot take today is.
Did you have them professionally clean today?
No, I didn't. Honestly, I'm at the moment. I'm in Sydney. Not nowhere near my local dentist, but my advice is floss and brush twice.
Okay, this is going on too long. What were you going to say about the advantage? What were you going to say about advantages?
I'm excited. This is a bit of me time. I'm shocked. Anyway,
give him. That's enough.
You're struggling with it. You're struggling with it. We gave you the ball and you dropped it. To use a sporting analogy, you dropped the ball and you've been sent back to the bench.
I'm jumping ship to the other podcast. Hopefully they have me on.
I think you'd be well suited for the other podcast. Now, I wish you all the best.
Six people played advantages. I just wanted to say that 6 people in this tribal, massive 7.
Yes, I think you're not. I think you're not counting Mao who left.
Yes.
7. Yeah, 7. Did I? It's no. I didn't underline it. Yes, Malcolm left. 7. Apologies. Massive still.
What remains in the game advantage wise, and I think this is going to be really good for the rest of the season because so many are gone. Ma has a steal a vote. Mao has a cancel a vote, and I believe the give safety without power remains at the ultimate sacrifice.
So is that all that's left at the ultimate sacrifice?
I believe so, yes. It's the last advantage that's left there.
But I
Okay.
guess the big twist we saw today, in the most recent episode, was the fact that Nick found an advantage being the idol in a challenge. So there
We're
are
going to
more.
call this advantage the fishback advantage.
So
Yes.
I'm just
Because-
saying that
because-
so we.
Because Stephen Fishback found one in the same trivia challenge. It was in one of the urns in Cambodia. Spencer almost found it. Fishback found it, and that's where. What was that advantage? I'm not sure.
I can't
Was-
remember.
But
if that was
I can't remember the result. But knowing that there are.
No, so it wasn't Fishback. It was what's her name? Kelly. It was.
Let's start from the beginning.
Wentworth.
So we come into the merge. We're jumping all over the place at the moment. Max completely derailed us. And it's time we get this back under control. So we come in, everybody's merged, everybody's getting together. We're excited about it. Except for Sophie, who's thoroughly unimpressed by James Wolfe running around like a headless chook, putting a target on himself, and Soph not having a bar of him.
Hey, look, he already had a target on him. He's the alpha. The apex predator coming into the merge. He's leading a bunch of goats into like this merge. He's got John and Amy and Super Idol Mel. They're all goats. He's the obvious target. He's the predator. He knows it. And he's going to go out swinging by accusing Sophie of having all sorts of advantages, which he knows she has, and he's right about, yet notwithstanding her constant denials. Do we not like that strategy? I think that accusing people in the numbers of having advantages they may or may not have is a sensible strategy. Perhaps because I did it once, who knows? I'm just saying it's a sensible strategy.
I was going to say I'm sensing a lot of projection coming here. I think Sophie's lie about not having an advantage despite very publicly having a disadvantage was a choice.
And also, so many people have advantages. Like, everyone keeps saying having an advantage is a disadvantage. Not when, like, everybody in the fucking game has an advantage. Like, it completely negates the advantage as a disadvantage concept.
I think if you ask John, being one of two people without an advantage today was definitely not an advantage.
Correct, indeed.
Brutal.
Yeah, so he accuses Sophie of having the idol because if Hayley had had it, she would have played it. No shit. You're right, James. It's a factual call. We agree with your assessment. Your detective work is sound. They also don't paint their flag, and I still don't think they got around to doing their flag at any point in this episode.
I mean,
Dan is going to be livid.
There's no time when they're so busy running around throwing each other under the bus. I could barely keep up with it. So when you immediately start flipping on each other from the get-go, Anna's blabbing about everybody's advantages, possibly the only information or the only thing that Winyu had on top of Kubadang was knowing all of the different advantages that they had. Anna, never content just to, keep the numbers, decided instead that she wanted to sabotage her own tribe even more. Fortunately, there is somebody there who's managing to build relationships, and John manages to immediately build trust with Michael and Nick, and to the point where, and I thought this was actually incredibly impressive, John was so far down the list of who people wanted to target that not only was he the bottom of the list of orange, but there were actually people on purple that purple wanted to target before John, despite only having spent what could have been less than an hour with him. So I thought...
You're absolutely right. But Mars running this tribe and this game, and they have a pre-game relationship. So I want to give credit to John because he is a great social player, and we know that. But do you not think that Mars' position of power and her vouching for him is a huge factor of why he was able to secure that position so quickly?
It was CK, but when we look at who voted for who, it was Ma's vote against John that essentially sent him packing.
No, he was gone. What do you mean? What vote?
So
It didn't matter. Everyone was immune.
We can get to that later, but she didn't have anybody else to vote for.
Only 3 people could be voted out.
It's
one of them was Ma, one of them was John, one of them was Joe.
But it's still, I'm just saying, it's how would you say John jumps in front of Joe in that position?
No, I think yes, but before Ma voted, she didn't know that 5 idols were going to be played, so it's a bit hard to make. Yes, if she knew that was going to happen, she probably would have put her vote on Joe, I think, but no one knew what was going to happen. Like, that was a lot of idols. No one expected that many idols.
That got out of control.
But I'm glad it happened. I'm glad they're all out of the game. I think that from here it can be really interesting. And the advantages remaining are more subtle and can be used in interesting ways.
I wonder what would have happened if Mel hadn't left that tribal.
Mal, I think he goes. I think Mal goes.
You think goes?
I think he goes.
There was a few, that tribal, a few, like even Michael playing that idol for himself. I'm not sure if he felt really comfortable or he felt safe. I'm sure his name was as we saw, was being thrown around, but
I think who played it first? Who went first? Well, firstly, Mal was the target, and then he goes, right? So now everyone's out for themselves. Like, was my name mentioned besides Malcolm's? Yes. Now I'm worried if I've got an idol, right? Plus, Michael's can only be played here in Final 5. So if you think you're in danger, just go for it. Only half of these people are making it to 5. Like, it's a bigger deal for Anna to play it, because she could have used it later. But, she had to do it as well.
So I guess if we're already jumping to this point.
We're going to jump.
If we're going to jump to this point, James Wolfe actually successfully pulled off the minority vote that he was talking to Anna about. So he had successfully managed to get it split, where it was 3 on Michael, 3 on Mel playing her super idol, 1 on Anna, 2 on John, which meant that Anna didn't have to play her idol. And then on Mel plays her super idol, Michael goes home. What unfortunately happened for James is that Nick immediately went and blabbed to Michael so that Michael knew to play his legacy idol. Now, Michael actually plays his idol third. So first of all, Anna gets up, and even though she didn't need to, plays her idol, has a little cry about how everyone's telling her what to do. Plot twist, idiots, because all of your ideas suck. Nick gets up and plays his legacy idol. Then Michael plays his idol at this point. At this point, everyone's playing idols. He knows that Mel's going to play her super idol too. And then Sophie comes in and plays her soon-to-expire idol. So
now, I don't know if did Sophie's last another tribal?
Yeah, that she didn't need to play it this round.
I felt she could have held off, but God, the ovaries it would take to hold off playing an idol in that situation when so many people are immune. And it's not like she was immune from the conversation. James Wolfe had been attacking her verbally and throwing her out as a liar repeatedly for the whole time. Like, with that, she could be a target. Like, she's not going to get majority votes, but she could cop 1 or 2. Yeah, and that's what Sophie said, not with James came from. You could cop 1 or 2. James could be voting for you. And that could have been enough in that situation. So I fully respect her. With only 1 more tribal to go where it would have been available, I respect that choice. I want to jump back a bit to Nick.
What about Nick playing his idol? Yeah.
Well, John just tried to get everyone to vote for him, right, in a public statement. Plus, Nick was being such a snake this episode. I loved it. He fully, he roped Malcolm in to flipping to the oranges, not the other way around. And then he immediately goes to the purples and says, Malcolm wants to flip to the oranges. And I told him I would, but I'm not going to. That is not what happened. He lured Malcolm into saying he'd do it and then just turned on him. So he was being full snake. I love it. I absolutely love the snake. But when you're doing snaky things like that, and then John calls you out for it, you're playing that idol.
Nick has been. It would be remiss of me to go in on Anna and not go in on Nick. He has been an absolute hot mess this season. And it is virtuous that that he's first of all so tight with Ma, and also that they haven't had to go to tribal that many times. Because I feel like he's successfully brought as much attention to himself on Kuberang as James was on Winyu. And at least for all of his hot messness, James is playing quite strategically, is able to guide votes, is kind of in control of where things are going. Nick is, I don't even know what's going on with Nick.
The thing, I agree, though I feel if we're comparing the apex predators here, I feel the snake and the orca. I feel that Nick has a better way of persuading people to see it his way. Now, James has all the right moves, like his strategy that he wanted to do, including, most importantly, getting Anna to play her idol for Mel so that they didn't have to use the super idol and to build trust again between the oranges, is actually just like an incredible move. But he talks to her like she's a fucking chess piece that's not moving in the way he wants. Now, I agree, she's being annoying, but does he want her to do what he wants or not? He's just sort of like coming at her aggressively. And to be honest, I understand, James. This is a stressful game, and when morons won't do what you want, when it's clearly the right move, it's very difficult to just massage them into the situation. So I get it, because you don't have time. I respect it. I know how it feels. But that's a weakness in a game like this. You don't agree, Annabelle? You're giving me faces.
I feel that the edit, and by the edit I mean Dan, has been very generous in the Anna is a victim of mansplaining and being the sweet, quiet girl who doesn't get hurt. Anna has been given a lot of talk space by her allies. Anna has been given a lot of space by new people on Kuberang who are potentially happy to work with her. Anna consistently has terrible takes, whether it's let's flush our allies' super idol, alienating her before the merge. Or,
that was the worst one.
No, I refuse to listen to your plan, which not only manages to save all four of us and also preserving a super idol. Anna, that you cannot tell me that John was mansplaining to Anna. I agree. Am I saying James Wolfe is the charming silver tongue that I suspect he would like to think of himself as? No. And
he does sell real estate. You know what those guys are like. We see
a real juxtaposition this episode between him and Ma, who's able to subtly guide people towards what they want to do or what she wants them to do, using explanations as to why it would be good for them, where James Wolfe can't pull that off. In fairness, look at what James Wolfe has to work with, though.
Can I just say, while we bring up Ma, she was incredible. She continues to be incredible. She's incredible in this episode. She's controlling everything. No one's targeting her. I've decided we should give her a nickname. She should be the godmother, but we're not going to go with the godmother. We're going to go with the godmother in Spanish, which is La Madrina. La Madrina. La Madrina. Just
That's
like
fitting.
Eclipse, they went with Eclipse. Spanish is fancy. Eclipse is not. English is not. So we're going to go with La Madrina for Ma.
La Madrina. I love it. And I love Josh's take. It is
Former host Josh Petey is watching us today, and he thinks the Anna Mel rivalry needs to be seen in another scene. It's so good. Yeah, I think that's like a Max take. That's like warm. I'm not that into it.
Oh. Don't need to do just like that.
You now have some allocated speaking time to give your opinions.
Should I just talk
Me?
about the
Yes,
challenge?
I think we do need more time for my opinions. I think we do. Okay, shall I continue?
All right. You've got to continue anyway, so go ahead.
No. Warm us up,
You want
mate.
to talk about? All right. What did you guys think of the folklore challenge being the merge challenge? Do you feel like it was a good choice, bad choice, good challenge, bad challenge? What do you guys think before I have my lukewarm take on this one?
I loved it. I loved that it combined memory with cardiovascular fitness. I thought it was awesome that James managed to keep up with Michael and Mara even when they were working together, and it just showed that having both a sharp memory, he clearly wasn't a stoner in high school, and also being equally fit to Michael was a real help there.
I do like it as a challenge. I think it gives people, if you're fit, fitness is the key. But everyone can run. It doesn't require balance or throwing things at something. Like either you're fit or you're not. If you can run, you can't. Like it's and everyone has a brain. And so, how good were you at reading comprehension? Like I think it's a really good challenge for fairness in terms of who can do what. I sort of prefer an endurance challenge for the first one of the merge. Generally speaking, I feel like it's who wants it the most. But what worked very well for this episode was it was so clear that even though they made it clear in the edit, it was always going to be obvious that James was in trouble, and then James won. So, and you were following his journey, and then the others were teaming up on him. And you're like, whatever you thought of him to this point, you're like, well, fuck all them. They're just teaming up on him. Go, James, win this fucking challenge.
Yeah.
Don't make this an easy boot. Otherwise, it's going to be a boring episode. They're all voting for you. Like, if he doesn't win that, he just goes, and all that gets flushed is the orange idols, and we're stuck with like a bazillion other idols still in the game. So it was the best outcome for the show, and you knew that as the viewer. So it was really exciting to watch him go and how close it was. Like Michael was right there. So I think it was very good in that way.
And even that edit of the challenge where they had the answers in the top right of the screen, just it was done really well. Just the way
this is Max's talking time. Let him have his 5 minutes.
Thanks. I've only got 30 seconds left, CK. Just the way the viewers got to see the answers, because when the information was read out, I forgot like straight away. So I would have struggled with that challenge. Probably would have done well physically, but not just over the excitement of it. Probably not. But just giving the reminder to the viewers of the answers, and also how it allowed for a bit of collusion with the helping out of answers. It just adds an extra dynamic, which makes it fun.
On that, Josh PD wants their thoughts on players helping each other in the challenge. You said it's fun.
I liked it. I liked because it could have been, like if it was very obvious that there were groups of people helping one particular person, I wouldn't have liked that, but I felt as if it wasn't as bad as it could have been in terms of just the whole, if you want to look at the fairness of anyone can win the merge immunity challenge, especially as you said before, CK, in the past, the first immunity challenge is one where it usually goes to someone who wants it the most. Whereas
I'm also fine
allowed
with
different, and that's a good difference.
If it's not against the rules, it's in the rules, and you can do whatever the hell you want. It's a social game. You're showing people you're connected. That's your choice to show people that, to demonstrate that. That could have ramifications, but equally, what's most important for you right there is you feel beating James, so you're going to reveal that to people. That's a choice.
What I felt,
make the choice. It's fine.
Loophole. Sorry. Go.
There's been a lot of this. I think this question is coming from. There's been a lot of discourse on the last Australian Survivor Immunity Challenge about
the one with Liz and where Liz was helping.
Yes, and how it's a way that the majority can help work together to keep the minority in the minority in what should be an equalizer. However, I would argue that in this specific challenge, unlike say one which is just about filling up buckets, there's room for error. That help might not necessarily be help. So lest we forget the Stephen Fishback Abby Maria showdown in this challenge, when he gave her the incorrect answer or she misheard him, and
she ran up. He picked one up. She just grabbed it out of there. He put it back down, and then went to the next one.
So I think
did John do something similar? I thought he tried to. He tried to like
intentionally moved off the lid off a little piece to make it look like he just. No, that wasn't John. That was Michael. Sorry, that was Michael.
Oh, it was Michael. Okay,
yeah,
I love that. That's such a Fishback move. That's the Fishback move. It's the Kelly Wentworth move to find the idol in the jug.
Another good comment on this particular challenge as well. We knew that the right answers had black rocks, and then they had to open up the little packets. I'm not sure how aware people were when watching, but you could ultimately go back. You could do maybe 4 questions and then go back to another correct answered block, take those rocks or a couple rocks, open them, and a little bit of a sleight of hand. Yes, there's a camera there, but you put it like that sleight of hand and you drop 2 instead of 1. Who knows? A little bit of a, like, if you're a quick thinking person who wants to cheat in a game, like in a game like Survivor, why not? It would have been interesting.
Okay, I said anything goes, but now you're taking it too far. Like, that's just
too far.
fragrant
But I'm just saying there was a loophole there. There was a loophole. You never know. Roll back the camera.
Tell, I don't think so.
Nah, Dom's there. Dom is focused, laser focused.
He's not on every single question.
He jumped right in there. Yeah, Dom was there. He's judging it.
He was probably on one of the tables, Sophie.
He was on all the tables. Dom is omnipresent and omnipotent. He can see all and knows all.
But I don't know. Just could have happened.
It could have, but like we would have seen it in the edit, right? Could you imagine like Dan going back to edit this and he's trying to find all the different spots of him finding all the different ones? He's like, fuck's sake, like James didn't actually go to half these tables. Like, we have to edit this shit together. Aston says they made sure they couldn't cheat. Where, you know, as we say, not as Ma. Were you here earlier, Ma? La Madrina. That's our name for you. I don't know if you've just joined us. If you just joined us, your nickname, because of how much you're dominating this season, is the Godmother. But because everything sounds better in Spanish, as according to you, Eclipse and Eclipse, you are La Madrina, the Godmother.
I'm going to need to remind you on that a few times.
La
Now,
Madrina.
I had 2 more comments in this challenge. One was shout out to the real icons of this challenge, the old couple having a casual picnic right in the middle of it.
Okay, she wants La Madrina.
Love that.
That's even better. That's funny.
And number 2,
Madrina.
the real victim of sexism in this season, Jo and her poorly fitting bra. Yes, John, thank you. Again, great minds think alike. Jo is the real victim of the patriarchy, and I won't let the edit tell me otherwise. Justice for Jo. Production should have stepped in. I'm sure Dom could have fashioned one together for her with his excellent skills.
But look, are we suggesting that this was the sort of Survivor season where production chose the clothing of the contestants, like occurs in real? So they chose the bra.
Well, they gave them umbrellas.
They chose the bra.
They chose the bra. Jo was robbed. You heard it here first.
I'm pretty sure. I was going to say, no, I can't say that.
It was a really fun.
Nice one.
Now we didn't.
Yes, they also sabotage. All right, moving on to the sacrifice zone. Anna has another Anna classic, comes up with a killer idea. Oh my God, Mal, why don't you give me your advantages for nothing in return? It would be a great move. Mal, oh my God, moron, doesn't get on board with this one. Once again, no one listening to Anna. Why won't they hear her? And he manages to go back with cancel a vote. Do we think that a cancel a vote in return for an auto vote against you, that the auto vote against you is actually significantly worse than a cancel a vote is good?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
So Mal gets a cancel a vote, right, that he can play. His punishment is an auto vote against him at this tribal that he went home at, so didn't even get the vote.
My biggest criticism of this is to our good friend Amy. She was there. She elects not to go for the advantage because she's trying to convince Mal to use his safety without power on John when she could just go for the advantage, give safety without power, and fucking give it to John. Like, it's a 50-50 that she actually gets an advantage that she could have used for the exact same thing she was trying to get Mal to do, which he was not going to do. So I think that's a really poor choice in that situation. Do you guys agree?
That was a personal move. That was just a move, in my opinion, to get her one tribal further, to gain a little bit of trust. And as we said at the start, the majority of the Winyu tribes people wanted to flip straight away. We saw that.
You guys aren't listening to Anna, and it disgusts me.
What? Did Anna give us an explanation for this? Did she?
You're just not listening to her and the geniusness in that move, and it repulses me.
I don't think a single I know you're joking and it's hilarious, but I don't think a single person in this game who has given away the advantage opportunity has had it paid back to them in any material way. Go for the fucking advantage. No one is going to hold it against you, and no one is giving you special favors because you let them take it. Like, people will save you if it suits their game, regardless of whether they let you have the advantage or not.
No, but CK, Anna doesn't want to be seen as an even bigger threat in a game that is filled with advantages.
Let's get real.
So don't hold
the only advantage. There were 2 advantages left. They're both minor, and one of them was exactly what she wanted and could have used to save John, and then all 4 oranges would be fine. All 4 of them.
Mm.
So then who goes in that situation? Let's just play this game.
Yeah, so he already had safety without power. He just didn't have, it's the canceller vote.
Yes, but the other thing he could have chosen, there's 2 remaining, is the give safety without power.
Oh, yeah.
So you can send someone away. You can't send yourself.
Yeah, she could have, I know, anyway.
Yeah. So
it's all good in hindsight.
We get back to camp and
this isn't hindsight. She was deliberately trying to convince Mal to use the similar advantage he has at the time. It's not like later she's like, oh, it would have been good if I had that advantage. She knew that was the advantage she needed and it was available for the taking.
It's a head scratcher. But again, if we all listen to her, maybe we'd be a bit brighter.
I think she's going to the end. I think she's going to be at the end.
This is a winner's edit, Annabelle.
No, she's not going to win. She's not going to win, but she's going to be there at the end, I reckon.
So
it's a winner's edit.
We get back to camp, and it's immediately and bleedingly obvious to everybody there that I don't know why, but James is simping hard for Anna, and those 2 are a tight duo. Nick picks up on this. Mel picks up on this and immediately ditches James as an ally. And Mal identifies this, and now Mal and Nick start to think, what if we started working with James and Anna?
And by starts to think, you mean Nick just gets Malcolm to admit that he would do it and then goes and tells everyone that Malcolm's ready to flip. Clearly, Nick just wanted to throw Malcolm under the bus any way he could and did an amazing job of it, and Malcolm had to bail out of there with his advantage. So, kudos for that.
Before that,
Shide has asked if there's a showmance in this game. I think that'd be a spoiler, so we're not going to reveal that.
I would say there is a showmance, and it's between Anna and a lack of common sense.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God, I can't wait till Anna's on this, but when she wins the game, she'll be really giving it back to you.
I think
she's going to the end.
This is the way Dan and Liv want to edit her as the winner, so we'll see. We'll see when she's here in the last episode that we ever do, and she's there being I told you so. It's gonna make a good episode. It's gonna make for some absolute drama. Just so like last week's Banfield podcast. If you guys who haven't watched it yet or listened to it, I suggest you do, because there was some tea spilled, and if you don't know what it is,
the Banfield podcast is a wonderful one. If you're just feeling like you sometimes in life you just feel so happy, you're just so happy, everything's going right, your job's great, your love life's great, your friends are great, everything's just really good, and you're like, I feel too happy. I want to feel sad. sometimes you could listen to some sad music, or you could just go listen to Banfield talk about his Survivor experience, and you will appropriately bring down your level of happiness to a more moderate level with the level of despair coming out of that man's mouth.
I haven't recovered yet, and it's been a week, and I feel like I should have taken tonight off just as a mental health
incredibly
break,
sad
podcast break, but no. And we lost John, even worse, so it sucks. We just got two shots. And I'm feeling a bit low with this one. I'm
glad we lost John. He's just a cocky bastard. It's time for him to go.
He's watching, and we'll see his.
And we know, and okay. Here's a little. Okay, let's. Are we ready? Do you want to talk more about this? Or we cover everything?
Well, the one last thing I wanted to say is: does Mal give Anna the canceller vote, or does he just show it to her?
I think he gave it to her, but we didn't see her giving it back, and then he had it back. So that's some poor editing, Dan.
Yeah.
The editing was. What do you guys think in terms of rating this episode? Would this be up there with, if not the best episode, or probably potentially top 2? Or are we calling it too early?
The first half was pretty dull. The first half was a bit dull because you sort of just knew James was going to go, and then John, you're going to be on the show in like 5 seconds. You can tell us like in person. Oh. You don't need to put 2 comments there. We'll go into that when he comes back. All right. Okay, that's a good explanation that you can give when you come on the show, John.
What about? I'm going to re-question it in terms of the live reality games that we have out on YouTube. The Australian state versions. Was this one of the best tribal cancels we've seen on camera?
Well, it depends if you just like advantage get-ins.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. I feel like I'm making a.
If we could have had a minority split vote, like James had set it up to be, up against Ma, rallying all of the votes against Mal, and watched how that played out, then yes, I think this could have been a real top tier episode. But because 7 advantages were played, and essentially the only person left without one gets the boot, I think that's what kind of stopped this one from making a top 5.
Yeah, and if someone like shocking had gone out because of all the advantages, like let's say La Madrina gets blindsided because of it all, that would suck because she's really great on it, but that would be amazing. But John was just like the default target anyway. So like all that advantage for nothing, no outcome. And it just felt like he was a bit of a dead duck in that situation. The thing that people that know John will know is that he fucking hates Survivor advantages. He hates advantage get-ins. When he's involved in an LRG, putting it together, the last thing. So John and I, as long with Josh Peterson, who's been commenting, and Vince, who used to be on this show with Josh, were put sort of in charge of coming up with and then putting to the committee the sort of advantages we would have in Melbourne Survivor 4. And I can tell you, John rallied against any suggestion of too many advantages. And I think we all know why now. He has PTSD from this vote out. Let's bring in, he's labeled himself the mayor of Ponderosa. Oh, man. He wasn't ready. He looked ready.
Right. I hadn't charged my laptop yet, and then so I was like, oh shit. So then I had to move it to be charged.
All right, John. Welcome to the show. You've been watching us. You've been commenting in the chat. Very important point there that I didn't raise. We asked what was going on in the edit. Malcolm had Safety Without Power. Then he gave it to Anema. And then how did it get back to Malcolm?
Yeah, so I think Malcolm did actually trust. Malcolm actually really, really wanted to work with both Anna and I. And like he thought like he would have the numbers. And I think if maybe Anna and I had more trust that had been flushed down the toilet in the last round, I might have actually gone with it. But yeah, so Malcolm actually gave Anna the Safety Without Power to hold. But although we do know that like possession means like whoever holds it owns the idols or the advantage. But then when Malcolm started getting bad vibes from that tribal, when like the ORCA is running around everywhere, coming up with different plans. Even the ORCA's meant to be voting with Malcolm. Malcolm got a bit paranoid, and rightfully so. And then asked Anna for the safety without power back, and that's when he played it.
What did you think was going to happen before the advantage getting? What did you think the plan?
At what point? Because I feel like what goes in my head changed many times in that episode.
Before it starts, you're walking into tribal council. It's before Malcolm uses his safety without power.
Yeah.
What did you think the plan was going to be?
Did
Wolfie split?
Yeah. So I guess like going into the round, like I was like, yeah, it's definitely Wolfie because he's rubbed godmother Don Sophie up the wrong way.
La Madrina.
Yeah. More Sophie that he'd burnt. Whereas I had made really good relationships with everyone apart from Sophie because Sophie lives in Canberra, so she went home overnight, whereas the rest of us stayed overnight. So we weren't allowed to strategize.
What was the sleep situation? Were you all in tents?
Yeah, we all had tents. I was I wanted to. So I purposely didn't. I was fine from one. I don't have a tent, but then two, like I could have borrowed a tent, but I wanted to share a tent with someone from Purple, so I could try to build something overnight. So it was actually originally meant to be me, Michael, and Ma overnight, but then James also insisted on being there. So Michael spooned with Nick, while I was like the middle, shield cock blocking, James and Ma. But yeah,
how big was this tent? Like a 2-person tent, or are we talking about a larger tent?
Did you?
Like a standard 3-person kind of tent.
So like five people in the 3-person.
No. Nick and Michael were in another tent. Okay. But yeah, so then like I knew it was gonna be James. So what you actually do, it's not super obvious in the challenge, but you can see a little bit of it. Was I just knew like I don't need to win immunity as long as anyone but James like it's just not James. So I knowing that like Michael's probably the next fittest.
John has a great spoon.
Yeah, like I guess like in terms of cardio, you have like Nick, James, and Michael are probably the 3 fittest cardio wise. So I actually followed Michael everywhere, and I told him all the answers. And that's what he actually seen me several times running up later than Michael because I was very unfit at this point after COVID. But then I told him the answer. So we were Michael and James were actually at 7 all, but then Michael actually forgot which stations had been to, and on the last one he ran back to one he had already been to, and they wouldn't let him get that rock.
So cheating that Max wants to introduce was not available.
Yeah, so unfortunately the cheating was thwarted, which in all fairness to James, well done. I agree with you. It's always nice to see someone, win against the collective. But that's why Michael, you see when Michael after the challenge, he walks away and he goes to the camera like, fuck, it was totally James. Yeah. And like James like right next to him, he just does not give a shit because like it was so clear that we were working together to get rid of it.
Yeah, it would have been an incredibly boring episode if James didn't win.
Yeah.
So it sort of saved the episode.
But yeah, so like, at that point, I'm like, I'm fucked. There's like absolutely nothing I can do because like, it's 6 purple, 4 orange. Like as if you don't boot an orange first. Like why make it 5-4 when the tribe's fractured and then now like you're giving the oranges like the upper hand? Like it's better off to boot an orange. It's 6-3. And now you have more room to play around with if you do want to shake things up. So I thought, yeah, I'm absolutely fucked. But I never want to leave Survivor like not having like done absolutely everything I possibly could have. Like I don't like people who just sit back and go, yeah, it's me. So I just like hustled, ran around to every group to see what they was going to do. And like everyone kept telling me, oh, no, like it's not you. I really, really want to work with you. And like, I just thought they were lying to me. I just thought like, how dumb do you think I am? Like, I know I'm the obvious boot. Like, but like,
well,
and so for me, sorry.
I want to ask you a strategic question. Yeah, I know you're the boot, and the edit says and I think they wanted to save you, but it came too difficult with what happened. Once Malcolm left, noting that they would have splitted the votes on Mel and one of you and you, if you guys had all voted together, you could have taken out one of them, like Joe.
Yeah. So Yeah, so I guess like what you don't see. I mean one, like to take it back, because when I was watching it, I was so surprised that everyone actually was trying to see me, and so I knew that the two votes were the two plans were the Mars plan to take out Malcolm, and the other plan was Malcolm's plan to take out Michael. And so like because like I just didn't trust Anna, and that point when James was so tight with her, I kind of started not trusting James either. Mel and I decided.
Is that because you lied to Anna and you didn't tell her about?
No, did it? Okay, so like
you didn't tell her that you were voting for.
So that last vote.
CK.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go back to that last vote, like Anna and I spoke for like half an hour because it was a longer one because the other tribe was there.
We saw you get frustrated.
And I was trying to explain to her why, like, if you have in a tribe of 5, you can't get a group of 3 to like do a split vote, especially if someone has a super rider where you can't play that wrong. And because otherwise, like, Haley and Mel could team up, put their 2 votes on me or James, like, and I was trying to explain it to her, but she kind of just assumed I was going with her move. So then, like, even in that tribal, she thought I was voting Mel when I was just like, I gave her like a lot of reasons why it was a bad idea, but I think she did have the necklace. I think like that sort of, it's not just in case of Anna, but in all times in Survival, people have the necklace. They start, trying to make more moves with it because they're safe and it can't go back on them. But no, like, but to get back to my point, like Mel and I were like, we don't really feel great with Anna and James, and so that's why we decided to go with Mar's idea rather than Malcolm's idea. But I thought either way, I'm good. Like, I'm not the name. And so I just thought, all right, as long as he doesn't get spooked, as long as he doesn't, because we all knew everyone's advantages except Nick's, which I'll get to in a second. Like, let's just keep him safe. Like, let's not like make it too crazy a tribal council. And he thinks that Anna, James, and I are going to vote with him to take out. And I think he thought Nick was with him too, to take out to Michael. And I think Nick actually was going to vote at Michael, but knowing that Michael was going to play the legacy idol, so he was trying to play both sides. Yeah. But so like Malcolm thought he had the votes, but then he started getting a bit spooked in tribal. And yeah, I definitely don't think it helped that James was walking around whispering new plans to everyone, which was apparently wasn't even a plan. Like he just started. He was fake whispering kind of plans, but I think that got Malcolm really, really scared.
Oh, you mean at tribal? He wasn't.
Yeah. Have you seen the episode? Like,
he's whispering. Yeah.
Yeah.
CK wasn't even drunk when he watched it.
I wasn't. This was about a week ago. So.
I don't feel listened to, team, and it's really upsetting me. John, can you please tell us what the whispering at Tribal Council was?
I actually know because he purposely didn't whisper to me as well. So he starts whispering to like random, and that's why like it just felt like more chaotic. And I usually like strategically try to sit at the back in the middle so I can like hear kind of the whispering. But I think I got forced to because Mark and I went in first. We got forced to sit on the little bench down in the corner. So I was like the furthest away from everyone too. But so Malcolm gets so like Dan goes, it's time to vote. Malcolm gets up going, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And then like Dan's like, all right, now it's time to vote. I'm like, hold up, I know, like, because I knew Michael was going to play the legacy idol as well. So I was like, hold on, I'm not going to be the default bid. Let me come with another plan. And the thing is, like, I targeted because everyone knew what everyone had, but I specifically targeted Nick because I knew when he went to the sacrifice, Anna got the idol. So I knew Nick couldn't possibly have got that. I knew Michael got the Love Rocks legacy idol. Like he couldn't have got anything from that. And what I didn't know was, so you don't really see it very much because it didn't end up in a storyline. But so when you found the first round of Love Rocks,
that was your Love Rocks idol, right? That's the one he got. They replanted it. Yeah, so sort out your shit and find it.
Yeah. So when you found the first round of Love Rocks, which is the 4 rocks, including Joseph, but then Joseph got booted immediately. So we only had 2 rounds of Love Rocks left, like the 2 Love Rocks and the 1 Love Rock. Yeah. But due to a combination of things, so because we were like literally at the top, like on top of a giant mountain. So with Haley's ankle making it hard for her to walk up and down that giant mountain, the fact that it started pouring and the fact that we were already late on time, they kind of just kept us around the challenge/tribal zone. So we couldn't.
So you didn't go back to camp a lot.
We didn't have an opportunity to go back to camp to find the last two. And so we just thought, all right, the Orange Legacy Idol just did not get found. I didn't realize that they would re-hide that at the challenge. Because obviously, like I was confident that Nick didn't have anything.
Well, I understand that because there weren't enough advantages in the game. So I felt it was important that they re-hired the one that hadn't been done. I think that was appropriate in the circumstances, right? Like you got to have at least a couple of advantages in the game. There wasn't enough.
And the other thing, right, was Joe and I were the only ones at that point to have not gone to sacrifice. And the rule had been to that point, you can only go once. You can only get your one advantage. And then literally the whole time Joe and I talking, we finally get to the sacrifice. We were so excited. And I was hoping I'd have a sob story and convince Joe, I'm feeling in danger. Please, let me take the advantage, which Joe's a lovely person. I feel like she probably would have given it to me.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no, not you and John. You guys just don't get to go.
To be honest,
Anna and I can get to go again. They both have things from.
Why reset that rule when there's actually only two advantages left? That seems like a really silly situation.
I don't know.
You get a better storyline for this episode because if you go, let's say Joe does let you take the advantage, you take give safety without power, you then give that to Mel to use on you, and then Joe gets voted out for letting you have it.
Yeah. Or if it also depends on what disadvantage I would have pulled from the thing because it's there's 4 disadvantages and it's random chance. So
but it wouldn't matter what one you got.
No, I know, but I guess I'm saying if I didn't pull the one that Malcolm got, which was get a vote against you, which is the worst one.
You would be gone. You would have left. You wouldn't be at the tribal.
Yeah. But what I mean is even the canceller vote would have been enough because I only went home with 2 votes.
You would have taken give safety out power. That's what you would have taken.
Yeah,
sure.
But whatever it is, I targeted Nick because I was so sure he didn't have anything. And when he stood up and was like, "Hold on," whipped out the idol, my heart just sunk. And then Dan was like, for the 3rd time, we have to vote. And at that point, if I had more time, I would have gone, all right, Joe's the only, I guess, and Mark are the only other options. Like Mel and I, let's vote Joe. But I wasn't even sitting next to Mel. This was the 3rd time Dan had said it's time to vote. And I had already used my shot, and I had it fail spectacularly. So I really couldn't pull together a plan C that late. But yeah, in hindsight, I probably got target Joe. But the other thing was at that point, if I'm trying to get purple to flip on each other, I basically need to give them a big incentive, right? They're not going to flip on the Purple Alliance to vote out Joe. They're going to flip on the Purple Alliance to take out one of their threats. You know how Mar's been wanting to take out Malcolm the entire game. Just use option to take out a big threat. That's the only incentive they would have to make a big move like that.
But they would have to split 5-1 once Malcolm's gone. Now I appreciate you couldn't wrangle that at that time, but they would have to split 5-1. And they're not going to do that, right?
And I think the other thing is if Anna, James, I, and Mel were united 4, there's no way
you weren't
that
anymore.
We weren't. That was a problem because then it didn't matter where the votes went, how many eyes were played. Mel would just play the super idol on the one that got the votes.
So if you want to know who you voted for,
so at that point, I kind of just thought I'm fucked. It's just between me and Mel because I used to assume no one's going to vote on people like Nick, who've already put out their idol and stuff.
Yeah.
Or Anna, who said she's going to use it. So, I just thought, all right, it's just I didn't want to vote up, be another pile on vote on Mel. And obviously I can't vote for myself. And, I can't talk with anyone to any other name. So I just voted Michael because that was the only other name that had been floating around just on the slim chance he thought, all right, I told people I'm going to use it, so I'm not going to use it. It was a 1%, Hail Mary. But because I knew James and Anna and meant to be Malcolm but not Malcolm were throwing their votes on Michael. So I thought my only shot, that's the only other name anyone has floated this entire round, put it on Michael just in case he doesn't use it. So obviously if he didn't use it, then he has 3 votes. He would go home. but like I knew I was gone. Like even Ma, like Ma only voted for me because she assumed everyone was voting for me as well. Like it was just like there's no one else to vote for. Like I think she had known it was so tight. Like she and I could have thrown a vote on Joe.
Dan and Liv were accepting idols before the votes are cast. A bit of a Ben bomb situation. A lot of disputes in the survival. They weren't.
No. They all played it afterwards. Nick revealed it. So to be honest, Nick probably like could have like not played it and saved it because
but then then everyone knows he's got it. And look, we all know Anna's situation, a disadvantage, and an advantage is a disadvantage. I don't think that's the case when everybody has an advantage. But after this tribal council, having the last immunity idol,
telling her what to do, listen to her.
Having the last immunity idol, I think would be a problem. And you can't just use it. Like, plus it's a legacy. So everyone's like, if I vote out Nick, maybe I get it. Like, I think once he was known to have it, he had to play it.
The other thing that could have been really fun if Nick just kept it a secret. Because I'm just kind of curious to see like I think I could have swayed like a couple of people like Mel or maybe someone else to try to vote for Nick, and then play the idol on cancel.
Sophie's giving you a lot of shit here. She's like, didn't you just say you knew Michael was playing as idol? Why would you vote for him?
No. So Michael was saying
Joe was an open target. I feel like Sophie's like verbally kicking from the comments here, John.
Joe was the only one, but at that point, like no one, there was no more time to talk because we're going to tribal. So like I knew like my one vote by myself wasn't going to be able to save me, and I had the only way I could be saved is if someone else gets more votes than me, and even I'd worked out Joe was the only one. Like who else is voting Joe with me? Like who else is getting that message? So like the safest, like the only option I felt was to get the votes on someone who I knew was copying votes on the 1% chance, like he was just bluffing and wasn't going to play the idol.
Yeah. Are you allowed to do the whispering? On Melbourne Survivor, they say no.
No, they were, because you see James walk around with it. But like, and I could have if Dan hadn't already said like for the third time, like it's time to vote.
I know the safari suit is commanding, John, but you go, no, you're not Jeff Probst. I'm going to talk to people. My game is on the line.
Yeah. At that point, I was just like so sure I was gone, and like I was just like sitting and going like, just like the sad, like like that sad guy on the bench, like all by himself. Like that's what it felt like.
Well, we'll talk about this episode, and your input has been really, really valuable. I'm interested in your experience. You had played Melbourne Survivor 3, the secret season that no one knows the outcome of, and never will. You played the secret season. You had experience like Ma. You came into this game actually as a alternate. You were there to crew. Someone dropped out, and they asked you to drop in. So you never even thought you were going to be playing. Did you come in with a real, just like whatever happens attitude? Or as it went on, did you start like playing as hard as you would your first time? How was that experience for you as a returning player, and particularly as a last fill-in?
I think it was actually like I know for some people like being a last minute alternate sucks because you can't plan ahead, but for me, I think it was actually really good because we played in March, everyone else got told in September. So I think everyone else had like 6 months of having to worry over what they would do, how they would play, what
was. I just had a killer comment.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so like James had 6 months to come up with that ORCA analogy, but yeah, like I really just wanted to, and I think like when Carleen was doing the pre-game interviews and she was asking everyone like what's their goal, when I said like I just want to have fun, she said like you're the only one that actually said your goal wasn't to win, because I think like I realized especially having played the first time and like because everyone comes in and is like I want to win, that's my goal, but I realized that there's 16 people, there's only one winner, only 3 people make tribal, only about like half-ish make merge. If you kind of go into that the season thinking like my goal is to win and that's what my goal is, then you're kind of setting yourself up to fail like for 15 of you. So I honestly, I just really wanted to have fun. and I was just really relaxed with it. I wanted to be a bit more villainous because I think the first time I was
you weren't
anxious.
villainous, but you weren't villainous. There's
Oh,
nothing villainous in it.
yeah. I mean, like the first time I was a bit more like anxious and neurotic was this time I was kind of like slagging everyone off on confessionals. I was like, I actually thought maybe I potentially get a villainous edit for like voting out my like number one just before the merge, but then but then you never, but then that storyline kind of never existed because the audience doesn't know like Haley and I are each other's number ones.
How did you?
You've got a
sorry,
toxic
Annabel.
mansplainer in it. You're the ultimate villain. You can go, Max.
It's not trying to paint. It's trying to paint Max as a villain in the season that I'm in. It's just never fucking gonna happen. Like
Me,
yeah.
I'm the hero, clearly.
It's just never gonna happen. Like you never get that paint. You got the beta edit. You got the like sidekick to the villain edit. The minion.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, no, not even the sidekick to the villain. The sidekick to the hero. The tragic hero.
You were James's sidekick for 6 episodes, and then
yeah. I was actually surprised by that because like I wasn't. Yeah, it looks like James my number one, but I would say it was definitely Haley far in advance, and then probably Mel was second.
Yeah. That became clear in this episode, but for 5 episodes, it looked like you and James were like this, and you were like his like sidekick, and you were just like, because I know that you came into Melbourne Survivor. This isn't a spoiler. With your plan to be to find the alpha and just sort of sit with him for a while and make him the target, and then you don't slide past. I'm like, oh, he's playing his like alpha slide target, like beta target.
Well, like as you can see, the thing, like I mean, I guess James is the like self like titled alpha, but like I kind of knew the real alpha was Haley, so like I started up to her, but yeah, no, like my goal really was just have fun, and I think that kind of also helped like when I went out in the way I did, that I was kind of like I think I was in shock for maybe a couple of minutes. I did my confessional with Matt Ching, and then I was just like, you know what, it's at this point it's like 8 a.m. in the morning. If I'm going to be upset about this, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a bitter jury. And I kind of thought, I don't really have time for that. I'm just here to have fun. So like, I was just, I kind of just wanted to make Ponderosa as fun as possible, which you might see in the next few tribals when I'm on the jury.
You might also get a different edit at Ponderosa.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was trying to work with James. I still was working with James, and like I actually saw that I was kind of like the middle between the two power players. Like Haley and James were like had a lot of distrust for each other. So the Simon boot, like I think that they were ready to come at each other. Like Haley definitely didn't want Simon to go. She wanted to take the shot at James at that episode. And I was like, nope, like I need both of you. Like you're both shields in different ways. Like, when James is like, we're going to split the vote. I'm like, no, we're not splitting, because if we split the vote, you guys are going to pull like one, we don't need to split the vote, but two, like it's an opportunity for someone like dodgy like you, James, to pull some dirty shit and like vote out Haley or something, or like vice versa. So like I was like, no, we're going like piling on Simon. But yeah, like I think I just wanted, and I mean, I guess you kind of see it a little bit in this episode, but my goal was really just to like present myself as someone who could work with everyone. And if there were people I couldn't work with, I just had to vote them out so that everyone left with people. I think that's
very, that was your style when you played previously. I don't think it was that much different. Annabelle, you want to say
John?
something?
No, Max has been trying to talk for 15 minutes.
That's all right. That's all right.
Sorry, did you not feel heard because the alpha in CK has been speaking over you and not letting your voice be heard?
Yeah, well, John, I know you've been watching every other episode. Nothing much has changed. Anyway, I say the same questions to the majority of the people that come on. How did you find your edit, and how was your experience overall? As someone who's played for a second time, you can compare.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at Sophie's comment.
I missed the comment. What was it?
If James and I run the same
me off more than everyone.
You missed my.
I had to put it out. All right.
On the other podcast, I made the analogy that James thought he was the orca and Sophie was plankton, but he misread Sophie's position in the tribe. She's not plankton. She's the Japanese scientific research vessel, and it's whale hunting season.
That is unreal.
Sorry, please continue, Max. Sorry.
I was just going to say, how did you like watching yourself? Like, how did you think you're perceived? Were you happy with the edit? And also, just the question about your experience. How did you find it? If you want to compare it to Melbourne, we don't have to, but like in terms of Canberra as a franchise itself, just for potential people who want to go on or apply for next seasons, how was it for you as a player?
Yeah. In terms of like, I guess I'll start with like the experience. I had a really great time despite being starved all of day one, despite all the rain, not having a rain jacket, despite like the way I went out. I had a great time. I think Survivor Canberra is probably like the smallest of the three main like there's a backyard Melbourne Canberra, but like I think it's a really close knit group. Like everyone's so lovely, so supportive, and like because I went back and crewed Canberra season 3, and like even though it's just the smallest crew of the 3, it just works so well. I think because everyone's just so fun to be around. And yeah, so I had a great time. It's different. Like it is like experience is very different in that like I think Melbourne being a 3-day game and having that first day where no one gets voted out, really I feel like it's almost a completely different game because it inherently becomes more social when you have like 18 hours or whatever it is to bond with people and make this relationships and delineate the hierarchy even before the first vote. Whereas like, poor Sam, like, an hour and a half into the game or whatever it was, like we're voting her out because she didn't come to the water well with us. Like,
an offer was made and she denied the order.
But I'm saying like, potentially if we stay overnight and camp together, maybe like someone would have done something annoying that got them voted out, or
apparently she had a 21st. Apparently she had a
she did.
So I don't think she was looking long term.
I think we knew that even before the game. So then I don't think I showed my voting confessional. I'm pretty sure I said, have fun at the party. I voted her out. That's what I mean when I was like, I'll try to be more villainous, but
yeah. Have you been watching our episodes? Were you present for the Sadfield saga?
The Banfield thing.
Sadfield.
I'm just going to come to James's defense here.
Okay, so just to clarify for those that weren't watching, Banfield says that he and James used to be friends. They did a podcast together. It was a while ago. He sees James on this show. He's like, oh, that's going to be something we can work on. But then, of course, James accidentally ruins Banfield's secret name plan, which is not James's fault at all, because Banfield mistakenly giving the wrong name himself. How can you expect? Like, why would he not be Blake? Anyway, but apparently at one of the ultimate sacrifices, Wolfie was the hot tea is coming. Wolfie was slagging out Banfield to Malcolm. Am I right about that? On what he understood to be a personal level, and that made him very sad. So John is coming to the defense of Wolf in respect to Banfield's comments from last week.
So first off, I actually found out that when you guys found out, because I missed Banfield's interview on the other podcast. So the first time I heard it was literally like you guys hearing it. And then I was like, oh, like that's news to me. And I mean, I wasn't involved in any way. So I guess like I don't have any lived experience in this. So like I don't want to like invalidate how anyone felt. But my understanding is James doesn't remember anything he said. Malcolm doesn't remember anything he said. And Dan doesn't remember anything that was said, supposedly said in that interaction. And I feel like knowing, at least like my read on someone like Malcolm is Malcolm's, an analyst. Like I feel like he doesn't forget little things like this. I feel like if he got told juicy information like that, he'd be thinking, going through his head like immediately, like what does this mean? Like how do I use this information? Malcolm just doesn't seem like someone where if that was something as juicy as was said, and I don't even know what was said, like what Banfield has heard was said, I don't think it would just fly over Malcolm's head, but I could be very wrong. Like this is all like,
that's right. When we have Malcolm on the show and the ORCA on the show, we'll ask them to. Everyone's entitled to their right of reply.
Yeah, but yeah, like I feel like you already have Sophie calling James fucking dumb on this episode 7 times, but I feel like it might be unfair to add to James.
Sophie's coming defense here saying not having Malcolm's ultimate sacrifice footage. I think she means the footage of them discussing, like it just cut to a Mal confessional explaining what happened. And she's saying, 'cause it didn't get to death.
Release the secret tapes.
Well, Sophie's saying it doesn't exist.
But yeah, like, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure what Banfield thought was said about him. But to my understanding, no one else knows either.
Okay. Well, it sounds like it's look. We'll get into it. You know, maybe when I get the Orca on this show, I'll just have Banfield secretly drop in, and we can have like a Jerry Springer situation. Like Banfield's been listening in a. So Mal's putting it. That's putting it to bed. Look, James didn't slander at Sacrifice. He was there. He would know.
Okay,
Banfield.
toxic rumor. Mal made up that Luffy was spreading toxic rumors about him and told Banfield to sow deceit and now has to cover his tracks.
I don't think
thought Mel
Malcolm's
was
going to
the
like
last
that
guy.
accusation.
No, it's a joke, Mel. It's a joke, Mel.
I don't think Mal's going to like that at all. But I am keen for my Jerry Springer moment. You know, Banfield's been listening back in a soundproof booth, and let's bring it in.
He's been backstage the whole time, literally. Backstage.
Yeah, I can actually do. There's actually a backstage down here.
That's how.
Yeah,
this,
look. Okay, look. I think we just have to hear when it says, and I think if you're listening, here's some more information on it. I think you probably need to go and speak to whomever told you this, and maybe just check where they got their facts from.
Yeah. But we're going back to Max's question because I don't want to talk over Max and not let his voice be heard. Yeah, my experience
it's
was
about you tonight, John. It's about you.
Yeah, but my experience was was amazing. And yeah, like I'm very grateful for Dan and Liv to let me have the opportunity, especially as an alternate. I love Survivors. I'm always happy to play Survivor, even if I was first boot. The edit. I guess I guess everyone always feels like they're the heroes of their own stories, and with 16 people, the editors have to, I guess, make decisions about what stories get promoted and what stories don't. I mean, yeah, I feel like we always feel like there's a lot more that could be said. I feel like a lot of I feel like I was playing a very strong game pre-merge on WinU, and I felt I didn't have that story. Like I didn't quite get, it wasn't quite clear who I was working with. My strategy for the game was, it kind of felt like I was either like James's sidekick or just there to talk about Haley. But I kind of get why, because if you look at the way I went out, if Haley and I had swapped positions, because we could have if we did the split vote and then Haley and Mel voted me out. If someone who had the kind of hero fan favorite edit like Haley or Ma, if they got advantage to get it out because 7 people were immune, and the audience really cared about that person, really wanted that person to do well, I feel like there'd be maybe some backlash about how many advantages were in the game. But then that means people, because the advantages all come from the season's theme. So then if you don't like the advantages in the game, now it means you don't like the theme of the season. Which so I get that also puts the editors in a tough spot. And so I guess it's easier to, as a certain very astute Edgic reader has written, it's easier when John doesn't have a story and he's an afterthought in the edit. If people are more apathetic, then it becomes more of a fun episode where it's chaotic, lots of things are happening, and oops, John went. But it's okay. I guess the people on WinU kind of know
I hadn't thought about you too much. I was making some jokes about you being the sidekick, and I hadn't thought about you that way. But I've been a bit hyper focused on people like you and Ma, and maybe to a lesser extent Nick, people I actually have met in real life. And I guess when you're a bit more hyper focused on those people, you think they're perhaps getting more of a story than what they actually were. But it's the editing these things is difficult. And I like that I think there's too many advantages in this season, but I don't mind the concept of let's just throw every survivor advantage that ever existed into a season and see what happens. It's an interesting concept, and I think a magnificent job with this season. As what happens with all these survivors, the season 1 is like pretty amateur, and then season 2 is like a real step up, and this I think is a huge step up. And then I'm sure season 3, which I think they filmed like late last year or something, I'm sure that's like a whole new level up again, right? So it's a really impressive step up. And I think that, as I've said before, I think Liv and Dan are the best hosts in the business. Like they're so polished, and it's really
I think it's important to also recognize, like Dan does all the editing by himself. It's like you think about how many hours of like footage that we want every camera, and like unlike say the Backyard guys, like he doesn't have a degree in like film editing and stuff. So like and he gets out the season like really quickly. He got it out in under 12 months, which is as fast as any LRG is going to get it out.
He's setting the standard.
They do a great job.
They're absolutely setting the standard at the moment.
They're doing amazing.
And as Mar just said here, they're elite level hosts. They are so polished. And not only are they both so polished in what they do in the challenges and the tribal council, in their delivery and their focus, but they also do it as the team. And that's really hard, to get that balance right. And they do it without talking over each other, without like coordinating. It's just a natural fit. Kyle and Brian do that, but I don't think they do that nearly as well as Liv and Dan do in just being naturally a co-host situation, which is a bit tricky. And they do that really well.
No, they have like amazing charisma. And you don't always see it on camera because I guess they have to cut, but like they bounce off each other so well, like all the time. Even like when you saw like the like drop your expectations, like they nailed the timing. And I think like the most important thing, like I think for me, like the most important thing about a host and being like when you're the face of the franchise is that you're really passionate about the community and you really care about the product. And like Dan like. And they've like really love like Survivor Camera, the community, and I think that kind of shows when like they're having an amazing time too, and we're having an amazing time because you're going to like pick off that. Whereas if they didn't have it wasn't so obvious the passion they had for it. Like maybe if I'd gone out in this way, I'd be more upset or felt like cheated by it. But like it's such a it's a fun community, fun like season to be part of. And I guess that's and you kind of go, oh yeah, that's just the fun way that I went out.
Well, this has been the longest interview we've done. It's as long as the one when we had 2 people.
It's all right.
John, it's all right, John. You've always got such a lot of content.
It's because you spoke for about 45 minutes, CK. That's why.
No, John spoke over me a lot. I should have just muted him.
You're meant to.
I'm so glad John's out the game so Anna's voice can finally be free. Max, you're still locked up.
Okay, final. I think we'll call it there, unless anyone's got some final questions for John. Max,
well, John, as a friend watching you play, it was obviously exciting. I was shocked to see you obviously get voted out. I was hoping you'd make it further. It was great as always. You had such a strong start, and I was hoping you were going to continue. And even in your pre-game interview, just the villain edit didn't progress, unfortunately, but we still got to see a great version of yourself.
I did say I was going to play like Suri because I was like a gangster in an Asian nerd outfit.
You nailed it.
I went out like Suri, so I delivered what I promised.
You got advantage getting out of the game.
But yeah, thanks for watching, and was it to be, but a good time.
So tune in tomorrow. We'll see who goes next, and we'll get them on the show for next week. I think it's really going to heat up the gameplay now that the advantages are gone. A couple of minor ones, but still. And Snyder, who's been here as always. It's 5 days until the first Maverick night.
Tits out
in
for
America,
Schneider, everyone.
Daytona. We love Schneider. Go check him
always.
out doing his virtual racing. He's a legend and is always here on our shows. So thank you. And thank you to everyone that tuned in and watched us tonight or is listening this later on a run or whenever they are. We always enjoy people participating and being involved in our show and tuning in to hear our hot/warm takes. We appreciate you being here whenever you are. So thank you, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, guys.